Hey everyone, Mike here once again, and I'm still trying to solve my emissions issue. Basically, I need to do what's called a drive cycle. I've been doing some research on this, and the drive cycle entails doing a bunch of different things to make it look like your car is doing every normal, everyday type of driving, even though some of the tests or some of the things you have to do is certainly not everyday normal driving. So what I got to do is I got to basically start it up, let it run for a few minutes with the defrosters on and the rear defogger on and just as much power stuff as I possibly can. Let it run for about 3 minutes, and then I gotta do some highway driving. Actually, that's the hardest one. You gotta do 55 miles an hour non-stop, and you can't go below 55 and you can't go above 65, so you have to hover kind of around 60, and then you have to do that for 5 minutes, and you have to coast to a stop without hitting your brakes or pushing in the clutch, which is like next to impossible because you're basically stalling it out at the end. So, I mean, the thing I found online, it says you have to go under 20 miles an hour. Other things that I've seen online, they say you have to actually come to a complete stop. So I'm hoping the 20 miles an hour thing, or under 20 miles an hour works. And doing that on the highway, coasting from 55 or 60 to 20 miles, it takes a long time. And of course, you end up getting someone behind you that's in a hurry or whatever. So what I'm probably going to end up doing is just pulling off to the side of the road to be able to slow down that much, because I always inevitably get someone either in front of me or behind me, because I've been trying this a few times and it's not been working. So I'm going to go ahead and start it up, start driving, and hopefully get this thing done. And then when I get back, I'm going to show you the results to see if it worked. So this is basically the scenario that I'm in. The catalyst and the evaporative system have to be, well, actually one of the two have to be completed. And I think the catalyst is the one that's a little easier than the other one. So I believe that the two 55 mile an hour, drive for a few minutes and slow down, I think those control the catalyst test. So if I can get those two done tonight and that thing comes up as complete, hopefully they do. I'm going to cross my fingers, and I'm going to run tomorrow and get this thing emissions tested, and hopefully that'll be the end of it. So you might be wondering why I'm doing this late at night. It's actually after midnight, and it's because every time I try to do this during the day, I get some tool or I get some idiot in front of me driving even slower than 55 miles an hour on a 65 mile an hour road, which is incredible. Or I'll get somebody who is behind me and wants to drive 55 miles an hour on a 65 and won't pass me up. If he would pass me up, I'd be fine. But no, they're going to follow right behind me, or they're going to be in front of me, or somehow, some way, somebody else always messes up me trying to do this drive cycle test. So it's after midnight, so I'm hoping that when I get out on the highway, at least where I live, there's not going to be too many people out there, and I can get this thing done. So of course I try to do the 55 mile an hour test for the emissions thing to see what happens, and I had a motorcycle behind me. I'm doing 55 on a 65 mile an hour road. I have a motorcycle behind me. He just would not go around me, so I ended up just slowing down anyway, and eventually he did go around me. But by the time I made that decision, I was already at like 4 minutes or 5 minutes past when I'm only supposed to be doing 3 minutes. So I was already beyond the 3 minutes that I was supposed to do, and that kind of made me mad. So anyway, I went and I did the second one, and actually, here's the really crazy thing. I'm in fifth gear, I'm coasting all the way down, and it would not go below 20 miles an hour. It just kept going. In fact, it started picking up speed a little bit, even in fifth gear, without the clutch, no gas, nothing. It just would not slow down. And I'm not allowed to change gears or anything according to the little write-up that I saw. So I couldn't even downshift to make it slow down. And so hopefully it got close enough to 20 miles an hour that it's going to make a change or reset the computer. I don't know. But anyway, I'm kind of sitting here for a few minutes, and I'm going to go ahead and restart it again and see what happens. And if it doesn't clear the code, maybe I'll try it one more time tomorrow. And if that doesn't work, then I'm just going to take it to emissions and just tell them, hey, I've done everything that was supposed to be done. I don't know what's going on with this thing. Just pass it and let me move on with my life. So anyway, we'll see what happens when I try to restart the car. Alright, well, I started it up. and it's still saying it is not complete. So like I say, I might try one more time tomorrow and see if I get this thing to do what it has to do. Otherwise, I'll just take it to the emissions thing and just say, hey, either pass this thing or tell me exactly what I need to do, because this is driving me crazy. Okay, so I was planning on just doing a little bit of going shopping and driving around, and tonight I was going to do the long 55-mile-an-hour test. However, I got my scanner set up, and just for fun I went and took a look at it, and it passed the catalyst part. So I am now heading to the emissions place as soon as possible, and we're going to get this thing checked, and hopefully it's going to pass. Okay, we're here, and once again, it's not very busy. We'll go on this one. This is the one you went to before.
Hello, how are you?
Good, how are you?
You're right there, bud.
Hello, John.
$9 and the mileage.
Actually, I got this
Okay.
because I just had to do a drive cycle.
Yeah.
The mileage is...
So that's why I'll get off here since you did that.
Oh, okay. Can I turn it off?
Just need to scan. You leave it running. Leave it running, all right? Got a neutral mode?
Yeah.
Take a second here.
This car's nice and low.
But it's right there. That's the good thing. I'll take those all day long.
Yeah, the Explorer must have been in a weird position.
That one point?
Yeah.
Well, what it was right. It was in a place I didn't expect it to be. I've only been here a little over a month, so I'm still trying to figure out. Yeah. Alrighty, sir. You can step back in. We'll get some results here.
Hopefully, we're good to go.
Free pass this time.
All right.
You ready to go?
Great. Thank you.
Have a good day.
You too.
Smiley face.
Yes, we have finally passed. I am good to go. So it is extremely good news. I did end up passing the inspection report for the emissions, and this whole escapade, actually I learned a lot. And I'm going to try to explain what I think happened and why I had to go through all of this in the first place. Well, actually it was last summer, so probably 7 months ago, I actually installed a cold air intake, which everybody said, oh, it's not going to trip any codes, it's not going to do anything. So I'm like, okay. So I actually drove it from then until I did the autocross a couple of weeks ago, and I think that's what ended up happening. My car was fine when I was driving under normal conditions, but then as soon as I did the autocross, that's whenever it was pretty much wide open throttle just about the whole day. So I think that cold air intake started actually bringing in more air than the computers were used to. Gave me a lean, because there was so much air, it gave me a lean code, tripped the check engine light, and I cleaned the mass airflow sensor thinking that was it. And who knows, that might have been it, but I kind of cleaned that, and then it was fine ever since, except for that one time it came up with that pending code, which I might not even have to get rid of because it really wasn't officially a code. It was a pending code, but I've never seen it, so I removed that code, and then I had to do the whole driving cycle debacle, basically. It was kind of funny because the inspection guy gave me a website to go to that it didn't work, so much for that, and there's typical government there. But I ended up finding some information on other places on how to do a drive cycle, and of course they're all different. But long story short, I ended up getting the drive cycle done. It took a while, a lot longer than I thought it was going to, but it is complete. I have my report. I can now go ahead and re-register by the end of the month. And now once that's done, and here's what the ironic thing is, now that I got it registered, I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to change the O2 sensors, the exhaust, and input injectors and everything else anyway. So this inspection, this emission inspection, was just so I could get it registered for another year. So who knows what's going to happen after I do all that. Hopefully nothing, but if I have to deal with any kind of codes or anything, at least I have a year to get that resolved. So anyway, that is the end of this basically 3-part series video. And if you like what you saw, please go ahead and hit subscribe, hit that little bell that's on there. That'll give you a notification whenever I come up with more stuff. And hit the like button. If you have any comments, questions, suggestions, or anything like that, go ahead and post them below, and I will definitely try to answer everyone that I can. So for that, now that this is all over, I am out.